On today's episode of the Lifekraft Podcast, we have the privilege of talking to Ursula Botha. Ursula is a South African actress, presenter, and performer with a passion for conscious living. She is also a writer, content creator, and an academic, and uses her art and platforms to help inspire and educate her audiences on harm-free living, all while aiming to transform into her most authentic self. In today's episode, we talk about conscious living, living your truth, acceptance, especially in uncertain times, health, wellness, and more. I do want to get into the topic of showing up. I know you had a show about that, Show Up, and you post about it as well. And you did a post just a while back that really, growing up the way I did, in the entertainment industry, I think there's a resilience that comes with being in the entertainment industry in any aspect, whether it's in front or behind the scenes, because one of the main things is showing up. Showing up. Just that. Not being perfect, not even getting the gig, not booking that show, not getting that job, not that, just showing up. And it's so powerful, and I don't know if people learn that any other way. I literally thought for years, if you weren't a singer or a dancer or an actress and you didn't have to go to audition after audition after audition, you don't know. You don't have that resilience. Now I'm learning otherwise. People go through that in their everyday lives. But what is the significance of showing up for you?
So Show Up was now my first one-woman show I ever did. And actually the irony in the name of Show Up is so a little bit of the backstory is I was constantly told by directors or by friends or people were saying, Ursula, you should have your own, you should do a one-woman show. And my reaction to that was always just, no, I'm not brave enough. I don't have the courage to do that. Like, no, that's the last thing. And I always said, only that's the last resort. I always said, like, if I'm like really a desperate, struggling actress, only then will I start doing my own one-woman show. And I would look at other women who did it, comedians or just women doing their own shows, and be like, that is so cool. But never thought I could do it. And then one day I was like, okay, I'm going to do a one-woman show. And I booked a theater. And I got the posters even done. And I had no idea what the show was about. I just knew that I had to book it, and that otherwise I wouldn't be able to do it. And then that's where Show Up came from. So for me, I had to show up for myself in that way. I had to show up for this dream to share my voice and my expression and things I want to share with the world. So that was me showing up for that. And then I shared my lessons of coming into the industry and showing up. So it relates to two things. So the show of life, like life, Shakespeare said, life's a stage. Yeah. So we're all like, and my master's was all about, we become these stories we tell ourselves. So I wanted to explore like the world where we are our own storytellers. We are this show and we got to show up and then like following this dream. So I had this dream of becoming an actress. So it kind of goes into, so it follows how from being young and extremely shy and then being forced into these situations where you have to really show up. Now the big thing about Show Up is just, like you said, you don't need to feel ready. You can feel scared. A lot of my students say to me, we feel so scared. And it's like, you can feel scared. That's okay. It's part of it. You're going to feel scared. But just showing up. And like, that first time I did my first show, my voice was trembling, but I showed up. Auditions, like half the job, there's so many auditions I get where I think, I can't do this. Like they would say, for an older woman, like, so I was like, especially starting out in the industry. So when I started out, because I traveled a few years, so I was 27. So when I would get these briefs for, you have to be a 35-year-old. So I would go and I would, but inside of you think like, oh, I can't go because I'm not 35. But then that little voice says, but just try, like, let's just try. And then I'd like sit in these auditions. Like, there's one specific one, I'm sitting there, and now it's like all these actresses who are like 35, and they're like been in all the soapies. They were in Goli or in Sevenlawn and Binlandish. I'm like, I admire them, I love them, and now I'm like, and they fit the part. I can see they fit the part way better than I do. And then we're auditioning there, and the next thing you get a call back because they're like different layers. Next thing you got the gig, so, and then I'd be like, okay, so I just showed up, even feeling imperfect and being next to all these incredible people thinking you're not good enough, and then still getting the gig. And there's countless of times where you would show up and you think you are perfect, and everybody tells you you're the bee's knees, and the casting director was like, I actually once got the director who told me you got the job, and then you don't get the job. But that's part of showing up. It's just like you don't know unless and it's part of like how I wanted to. So it's about taking those risks, and it's very much Brené Brown actually, where she always says it's not the critic who counts, it's the person in the arena, it's the person who's out there sweating, trying, whether you are trying, you're creating your blog, or you have your dream of creating your health business, or whatever that thing is for you, you just gotta show up for it imperfectly.
If listening to this episode inspired you to make some positive changes to your health and wellness, I have some exciting news for you. We have a 10-week program especially designed to help you break your toxic relationship with sugar. This course includes weekly lessons, a meal plan, shopping lists, recipes, and worksheets, all to help you eat less sugar, curb sugar cravings, and know how to create a healthy, sustainable relationship with sugar. Go to melissalane.com today and use the discount code Lifekraft to receive 10% discount when you enroll in the program. Let's start talking about conscious living, because your blog and your YouTube channel and all of that stuff, I mean, you can see how conscious living is something that you're so passionate about. I want you to explain what does conscious living mean to you, and how can we start living more consciously?
This is like a whole entire podcast on its own. So conscious living, and I think there are stages. I am by no means like the conscious living queen, but yeah, so there are stages, and I guess it's about it. Okay, there's so many levels, and one of the levels is definitely for me about acceptance. So let's start with body. I have a very, very sensitive system, and I was very sick as a child, and then I discovered, okay, I'm like all the foods that I'm intolerant to, so I had to cut that out. So it's about conscious like eating habits. Now a lot of my friends go like, Ursula, we would never ever, how do you have so much self-discipline? How? Because I have a 70% raw diet. I only have a little bit of cooked food at nighttime, and everything is just organic and clean, and people go like, that's self-control, and don't you miss normal food? And to be honest, like it's about again, okay, so now this is going back to acceptance, but this is how my body has reacted. I can't shame my body for the way it reacts to things. Like that's what it is. So I've had to become conscious. So it started with being conscious of what I eat in order to heal, and like it's completely transformed my health and my energy and emotions and everything. But then it kind of goes also to the next level. So I've had to become conscious on, so everything I use. So for example, toothpaste has gluten in. I'm highly gluten intolerant, so I've had to use more natural toothpaste brands. Skincare, a lot of skincare brands, so if we're looking at like more consciously, a lot of skincare brands, a lot of businesses, they're just out there to make money. So they mass produce and they need to make money. And then they put a lot of harsh chemicals in their products, which has an effect on especially us sensitive souls, beings here. So, and there's just so much joy when you go to a small business who does completely like natural ingredients that they maybe make in their kitchen, or it doesn't have to be that small, but just like a business that's transparent and they're not so money hungry, and being conscious of what you are putting into your body or on your skin, and then also the effect that that will have on the earth. I think if I have to wrap up everything I just said, it's about doing the least harm. So the least harm to yourself and the least harm to others. So we can have this in a relationship level and in a consumerism level. But that's a good
Yeah.
one to always go by. It's like, because sometimes something is beneficial to you, but it's harmful to somebody else. So that's a conscious living comes in. And now, so my YouTube channel, for example, is all about I review conscious brands. Mostly I review conscious brands because there are so many amazing small businesses and entrepreneurs out there that are doing such incredible work, and they're uplifting other people and they're sustainable, but they just don't always have the voices to share that. So with a YouTube channel, my dream was just to like kind of just give a little bit of a voice to help get their message out, because sometimes I just find these incredible people and these incredible businesses, and I'm just like, why doesn't more people know? Like, more people need to live like this, because it's so much more fun, and I think it's such better karma. I believe in karma. Like, it's just, and you are going to be happier. Like you said, the laws of the universe are here to actually help us and elevate us. You just need to tap into the laws of the universe. And I do feel like living consciously is just tapping into those laws that are out there to make you a happy human being.